area formulas. These area formulas are directly, I got these directly off of the GED, a formula sheet. So these formulas that you're looking at are exact. They're exactly what the formulas look like on the formula sheet. Do you have to memorize these for the test? And the answer is no. They are given to you, though you do want to know what the letters stand for. So what I've done is I've come down here and I've defined the letters themselves. Let's go ahead and take a look and define what we can see. You'll notice that you have a capital A. Usually when they talk about area, they show it as a capital A. Okay, and that's here. You see it, capital A. You'll notice that the S is defined here, side. Let's draw a little square. S would be like a side, the length. So notice that if you want to know the area of a square, you just take one of the sides and you square it. Let's say this side is equal to the letter or the number 7. Well, if that was the 7, then all I would do is I would take a 7 and square it. And the area for this square would now be 49. Now, here's something to take note of. Whatever, it would be 49, whatever units it's given in, whatever those units are, feet, centimeters, meters, yards, whatever, it would be squared. Now, they may use a little 2, or they write SQ, and they usually abbreviate it like that. It is, if not both, usually it's one or the other. So one of the hints that I tell students is that I say, look, when you're looking at certain things, if you see that you have your answers and they're in maybe like, let's say, feet squared, well, anytime an answer like this is squared, you're always talking about area. Okay? It's that thing we were talking about, anything raised to the power of 2 squared. So let's keep going. Rectangle. You'll notice that it's area. If you want the area, you have to take L and you multiply it times W because they are side by side. That's what it means in algebra, to have 2 variables side by side. L would be the length, W would be the width. So if I have a rectangle, let's draw a rectangle. Let's say the width is 3, the length is 5. If I want to find the area, I'm going to take the L and multiply it times the W. So that means area equals 5 times W. So my area is equal to 15. Let's keep going. Parallelogram. Do you remember this guy? Parallelogram was the same as a rectangle, except it's crooked. Let's draw one. Notice what they're doing for this. They're saying that if you want the area, you take the base and you multiply it times the height. Now, base is going to be located on the bottom. That's where the B is located. But do you remember the H? The H in the previous video, when I was talking about common polygons, is that the H is from the lowest part, the measurement, to the highest part. It's usually going to be defined inside it, and they'll say H equals. So again, you're going to be taking the B, wherever the B is on the bottom, and you're going to be multiplying it times whatever the H is, and it'll be indicated inside the polygon. Triangle. On triangle, do you notice that it's the same? You notice they don't have equilateral triangle, or isosceles triangle, or scaling, or right. No, it's the same for all. So whatever triangle you're dealing with, what you're going to do is you're going to take the base, the bottom, you're going to multiply times the height. The height is going to be indicated from the lowest point all the way to the highest point. That's going to be H. You're going to multiply those 2 numbers, and then you're going to take half of that number. For instance, let's say my base is 8. Let's say my height is 4. So according to the formula, I'm going to take half of whatever base times height is. So I'm going to take half of whatever 8 times 4 is? 8 times 4 is 8, 16, 24, 32. So that means I'm going to take half of 32, which is actually 16. That means my area is going to be, let's say, 16 feet squared. Trapezoid. Okay, this is that funky one. And as I defined a trapezoid, you notice it had it's like a triangle with the top and the bottom cut off, or the top cut off of it. Notice what they're doing. It's still half of something, right? It's still the half of something. So look at what they're doing. They're taking base 1 and they're adding it to base 2. So remember what we talked about. Usually they call the bottom base 1. They call the top base 2. You're going to put those two numbers together. Then you're going to take it and multiply it times the height, which is going to be indicated from the lowest point to the highest point. That's going to be equal to h. Then whatever those numbers together equal, you're going to divide it by 2, or take half of that number. Let's try one. Let's say I call base 1 4, base 2 2, height 3. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. So according to the formula, area is half of the height. Let's go ahead and define the height as 3 times whatever B1 is. We called it 4 plus, and we called B2 2. So let's go ahead and solve this thing. Again, order of operations says you do this first. 4 plus 2 is 6. So I'm half of 3 times 6. 3 times 6 is 18. So half of 18. So that means my area would be equal to 9. Circle. Look at circle. Circle has, if you want the area, you're going to take this symbol. Now, this symbol is actually defined down here. This symbol is called the word pi. Another number for pi is the number 3.14. This is most common, though that's not the true number. This pi number is the ratio or the division problem 22 divided by 7, and it never really ends. But this is an abbreviated number, and we just use it in our math problems. Notice that you're taking this pi number, this 3.14 number, whatever that, and you're going to be multiplying it times the r. Do you remember what r is? R is the radius. I'm going to pull it down a little bit right here. Remember the definition of radius? Radius, its definition, is from the middle of the circle all the way to the side, halfway the distance. That's r. Do you notice that you're taking the r and you're squaring it? Did you see that? So let's go ahead and do this really quick. So if I take, let's say, a circle, I show the radius as, let's just say 3. If I want the area, it's actually the only number I really need. Because according to the formula, I'm going to multiply it times pi. Pi is already defined as the number 3.14. So if I want to get this, I'm going to do 3.14, which is pi. I'm going to multiply that times r, which is the radius. But before I do that, I have to square that radius. So that means I'm going to do 3 squared first. So I'm going to be left with 3.14 times 9. And I would put this in my calculator. Let's go ahead and do that. So 28.26. This would be my area.